Hello and welcome everyone to another puzzle challenge video. This is Ryan Murphy with chessuniversity.com, and since we are past the halfway point of the week, we've moved on to our intermediate difficulty puzzles. This one comes from the game Liu against Tian, played on chess.com, and as you can see on your screen, it's Black's turn to play, and Black's already, of course, completely winning. They're up a queen, but there's a nice tactic here which forced resignation, and it is the strongest move in the position based on a cool tactical theme, so hopefully you guys can take a look at it and try to solve it. When you do solve it, if you want rewards points on chessuniversity.com, just follow the link in the description to this video, and you can see the official post. If you make your comment there, that's how you get the reward points. So hope you guys will check that out. But without any further delay, we should probably jump into this position and see how we got here. So we're going to rewind to the beginning of the game, see how the game actually played out. So the game began as a Caro-Kann, e4, c6, d4, d5, black challenges the center, knight c3, pawn takes pawn, knight takes, and then knight f6. This one's becoming a bit more popular nowadays. And it leads to some interesting positions. Black's accepting doubled pawns, but getting pretty quick piece play, and overall the structure is actually quite solid. The only downside of this line is that Black has, well, technically a majority of pawns on the king side, but it doesn't usually actually matter in terms of ability to make passed pawns. Whereas White has a 4 against 3 majority on the queen side, and they don't have any structure damage, so it's actually quite a bit easier for White to engineer something like c4, d5, and creating a central passer. So there's some strategic dangers in playing like this, but if you play actively and you open diagonals for your bishops and quick development, it's not a bad system to play with Black at all. Knight f3, bishop to d6, bishop c4, castle, bishop e3, and bishop g4, pinning the knight, putting some indirect pressure against the d4 pawn. And I'd say Black's already doing pretty well. I mean, they're almost done with development. They want to go rook e8, and then bring the knight, sometimes d7 to f8, and then over to g6. And of course, the knight can also head to d5, which is a pretty good square. White goes for queen to d2, getting out of the pin, and Black finishes their development. Knight b6 is a nice move to get with tempo, and now knight d5. Usually when you play knight d5, you want to watch out for the move c4, but here Black would just be able to take the bishop, so it's not a huge problem in terms of tempo. So c4 is not too scary for Black. Instead of c4, though, White goes h3, attacking the other minor piece, hitting the bishop on g4. Bishop to f5, maintaining this strong bishop. And now g4, going for some attack. It is opposite side castling, so it does make some sense for White to try to get the pawns rolling on the king side, but the nice thing for Black is that, like I said earlier, these doubled pawns do provide some extra security for the king, so it's actually quite a bit hard to successfully open lines against Black's king. Black went bishop e4, putting pressure on the knight and pinning it, so queen e2 is kind of forced. Rook to e8, lining up on the e-file against the queen, so now there's a lot of tactical energy in the position. Rook g1 played to get out of the pin on the diagonal. Knight to f4, pressure on the queen. And now I think White made the right call. I think they have to do this, otherwise they lose a piece. So this move's forced. Takes with check, and now Black has two bishops and just dominating pieces in the center. So Black's doing very well. King b1, pawn to a5, trying to go for a4 and b5 and attacking the king. Knight e1, and yeah, well, unfortunately for White, that doesn't really address the threat. So a4, bishop c4, b5, as noted, bishop d3. And now there's plenty of cool moves here. The move play in the game seems to be good enough, but I think even stronger than the game move, which was, by the way, bishop g2, very good. And it does trap the queen. So if you see this, good job. Queen has no squares. Another very strong move, I should say, is bishop d5. And technically, the queen is not trapped. This is true. It has one square, besides giving itself up for the rook again, which would have been the same thing as the game. It only has queen f1, right? So if queen f1, Yeah, the queen's technically on the board, but if you look at all of white's pieces, they're all pretty lousy, with the exception of maybe this bishop on d3. And the queen on f1 can't move anywhere anyway, so it's like effectively trapped. And a nice way for black to take advantage of the queen being on the opposite side of the board, cut off along the e-file from the white king, is they can continue with the attack. Go a3, and then there's ideas of bringing the queen to a5 and b4 and trying to mate on this square on b2. And actually already here, this is quite bad for white. I mean, white's basically just completely lost because they can't allow a takes b2. That would open up the rook, and then the bishop on d5 and the rook would be coordinating against a2. So this is sort of forced. And now after queen a5, I mean, white's pretty hard pressed to deal with the threat of queen c3, queen b2. They hardly can even, like, if they could get like a, a knight d3 sort of thing in the position to try to stabilize, that wouldn't even be enough because the knight can be removed by like a bishop trade. So yeah, this one's lost. Okay, but bishop g2 is a nice tactic. Queen takes rook, queen takes back, and rook takes bishop. So the difference here is that white got some material for the queen. They got the bishop and the rook, but of course it's not enough in this position. b4, and plus black's still attacking. Knight f3, queen d7, h4. Both sides going for a pawn storm. Queen d5 is a nice move, pinning the knight. So bishop e2 kind of forced. And now after rook e8, rook e1, we have our final big tactic of the game, after which white lost rather quickly. So if you guys want to post your solution, make sure you check out the official link in the description. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another puzzle challenge video. Thank you for watching.